You're listening to the O&P Check-in and SPS Podcast.
This podcast brings you the latest happenings in the O&P industry. We're unpacking trends and news from this tight-knit orthotics and prosthetics community.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Jacki Green, and I'm a marketing specialist here at SPS.
And I'm Brendan Erickson, a regional sales manager here at SPS.
Welcome back to our listeners. If you are new to the O&P Check-in, here's what you can expect. In each episode, we will discuss a hot topic in the industry, provide an SPS update, and cover a news article from the world of O&P. Let's get this thing started.
Let's go.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to episode 5 of the O&P Check-in and SPS Podcast.
Yeah, welcome everyone. Hey, Jacki, I noticed you're wearing a cool tie-dye shirt over there. What's up with that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think it was a gift.
That's not a home project on a rainy day or something?
No, actually it's not. No, I don't even know if I could get this many colors if I tried doing something at home. It's the whole rainbow.
That's pretty awesome.
It's pretty detailed.
I tried when I was a kid and it was awful. We had the pots and the pans going and rubber bands on the shirt and then dipping different colors in food coloring, and yeah, it turned out just to be a mess. I thought I was cool trying to do tie-dye, hippie, cool stuff. And
every once in a while, I'll see you can bleach your black shirts to look neat kind of thing pop up on social media somewhere, and I'll watch it for 5 seconds, and I think I can do that. And then I really think about it, and it's the same thing. I did something like that at a summer camp, and it never turns out. Oh, man. All right. Well, let's get into it. So in today's episode, we're going back to school. We are going to be chatting with some very special guests. They are the O&P Masters Scholarship recipients, Caitlin, Bowman, and Cody Alcott. After that, we will discuss a news article from the world of O&P. So before we get started, let's take a quick little break.
The lightweight torso interface seamless protective body sock from KnitRight may be used with all types of spinal orthoses and body jackets. It provides more cushioning, moisture wicking, and antimicrobial properties to keep skin dry, protected, and comfortable. High stretch fabric means fewer SKUs fit more patients. Explore KnitRight's body socks on spsco.com.
Thank you, KnitRight. Let's see what we have going on at SPS. So this month is kicking off Q2, Brendan, and we have quite a few promos that are going on, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I love it. As we transition from Q1 to Q2, a lot of manufacturers are putting out some really good promos. The first is Willowwood. This promo is only available when you order via the SPS online store. And what you're going to get from this promo is if you purchase any 2 liners and a MetaShock foot, you'll receive $200 off of the foot.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Not bad. Better than a poke in the eye.
Not at all. Yeah, it's better than that. Another promo we have going on is Coyote is offering a 10% off select quick glue products. And then the other promo that we have going on is for Elevate Dynamic. They are offering a really great promo, in my opinion, but if you purchase a left and a right free flow AFO, you get 1 free flow Helix band free. And if you purchase a left and right Glide AFO, you get 1 Glide Helix band free.
Nice. And just for anybody that doesn't know, that is the posterior version and then the anterior version. So you can get left or right in either version.
So all of these promotions are running from April to June 30th, 2022. So see the link in the show notes or visit the promotion page on spsco.com. So before we begin the interview, let's provide a little background. SPS offers 2 scholarships, one for the Master O&P students that runs from November to February each year, and another for technician students in the summer. So today, we are thrilled to interview our 2022 O&P Master Scholarship recipients. Brendan, you are very familiar with our scholarship program, as we talked about in one of our other episodes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm one of the 7 scholarship committee members, and we're tasked with reading all the essays, reviewing the applications, the letter of references, and all the transcripts. We then meet and kind of have fun and duke it out on who we believe should be this year's scholarship recipients. It's always a difficult decision, and this year was even more difficult because we had close to 100 applicants, and no joke, every single one of them could have won. and there was very little separation, but the two that we've got here today obviously separated themselves. So excited to talk to them.
So let's get into the interview. First, I would like to introduce Caitlin Bowman, who will be beginning her first year at the University of Pittsburgh in August, but she has already had a great deal of experience in the O&P industry. Currently, she is working as a prosthetic and orthotic fitter at Infinite Technologies in Virginia. So welcome, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Cool. Next up is Cody Alcott, who will be starting his first semester at Baylor College of Medicine in June. Currently, Cody works as a technician at Hanger Clinic and on the side works at a tree service. Welcome, Cody. Thanks for joining us, bud.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You bet.
Okay, so thank you both for taking some time to be here today. So how did you hear about the scholarship opportunity? Cody, why don't we start with you?
Originally I've worked as a technician at Hanger for the past 2 years, and kind of through that I've had a lot of interactions with SPS, especially as a technician trying to figure out. A couple months ago, my sister, who also works for Hanger as well on the corporate side, she sent me an email just saying, hey, by the way, there's SPS is offering, a scholarship. And I kind of originally saw it and didn't think I was qualified for it since I hadn't actually entered in school yet. And then originally just started reading through it more and then figured I could probably apply, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And just kind of turned out that I actually won.
Oh, that's awesome. So Caitlin, how about you? How did you hear about it?
So very similar to Cody, I have a lot of interactions with SPS, just working in the field of O&P. So when I was working as a fitter and assistant at Infinite Technologies, I had a question that I was on the phone with a customer service rep from SPS about, and I wish I could remember her name for you guys to give her credit, but it just is escaping my brain. But she actually mentioned to me that if I was going back to school, there was a scholarship and I should check out your website and apply, so I did, and I'm just very thankful she thought to mention it to me.
Oh, that's the best story I've heard so far. That's awesome. Cool. So Cody, how long have you been working at Hanger and how did you get your start there?
I graduated my undergrad in December of 2019 and got hired on in Tacoma, Washington in end of February 2020. Actually, a few weeks before coronavirus hit. And so I've been working there since then. So it's been approximately like 2.5 years working as a tech. I got really lucky because they hired me with no actual tech experience. The only time I've really spent at Hanger Clinics was volunteering during the school year and as a kid. So because I got kind of introduced to this whole field and everything with it is because my dad had a prosthetic leg that he lost 20 some odd years ago. And through him, I was like 6 years old running around this Tacoma clinic, being kind of a terror. And then now I'm 26, still a little bit of a terror, but nice working there. So it was really awesome to be able to kind of get the opportunity to kind of get into it. And it ended up working out.
That's awesome.
So Caitlin, how long have you been working at Infinite Technologies and how did you kind of get your start there?
This summer is coming up, will be my 1-year work anniversary at Infinite Technologies, working as a prosthetic and orthotic fitter and assistant there. But I actually got my start at Infinite Technologies when I was a high school student. One of the CPOs and co-owners of the company gave a talk about orthotics and prosthetics as a field at a career day at the public school system that I attended. And I kind of just heard about what he did. I thought it was the coolest job in the whole world, and I wanted to learn more. So me kind of just being a naive high school kid, asked if I could come shadow for a couple days. And a couple days turned into a couple summers, and a couple summers turned into undergrad as well. And when coronavirus kind of happened, I decided I wanted to take a gap year in between undergrad and graduate school just to get some more experience and at the time it was really uncertain what the world was looking like and if programs would be in person or online. This is really an industry you have to know how to work with your hands and work with people. So I just applied to work as a fitter and assistant at Infinite Technologies, and they were really courteous and grateful to have me. And I'm just really excited that they took a chance on a high school kid, and here I am, several years later going to my master's program. So I'm very thankful for that, for them for having me.
Great backgrounds, guys. Super cool stories of like your trajectory and how it's kind of grown and where you are now. That's really cool.
Yeah, what I like is you guys are kind of both, I'm a basketball fan. I don't know if you guys are, but kind of gym rats, right? Like you guys started within this field as young kids and you're always at the gym. You're always putting up shots. Like you're learning from everybody constantly throughout your entire youth. And just to let you guys know on the inside, when we're looking at these, the people that really put the time in and shadow and decide they want to put their full energy into this as a career, it goes a long way. And both you guys did stand out on that level. So congrats on all the work that you guys put in, at least now achieving a little bit of reward for it. So Cody, you're up next. Do you have any area of specialization that you're interested in the future? I mean, we talked a little bit about your past and what got you here, but as you move forward, are there any specifics that like really interest you?
I think I've been kind of pretty focused on just trying to get to this point. So it's been kind of hard to, find something to specialize in. I know as like a technician, and I've always really been into the super complicated cases, which are way harder to build. So it's a little bit of a glutton for punishment when it comes to that. But those bilateral AKs with severe hip contractures on it, I got the opportunity to work with my manager on what's called a rotation plasty. And so what happens is when usually it has to do with younger children, but what happens is they end up having damage to their knee, and it gets basically amputated off, and then their foot and their ankle gets surgically attached and flipped around, and it actually just acts as a knee like that. And so I got the opportunity to work on a prosthesis, which is like it's half prosthetic, half orthotic, and it's watching videos of how they're implemented and how much mobility that these people still have. I always just really thought was incredible. And especially working for Hanger, there's a lot of opportunities to meet certain people who have done incredible things for Paralympians and just kind of everything around the business. And so it's kind of my favorite part of this field is that, there's not really any limits to what you can do, where you can specialize in. And obviously I have a lot more interest in super complicated and difficult things. And I think that's just kind of the direction I want to shoot for. And during my time at Baylor, hopefully I'll be able to find, maybe a little different niche that I find a lot more interesting, or, whatever really happens, I'm kind of just open to whatever, and kind of trying to keep an open mind.
That's great. It sounds like any challenge that comes at you, you're going to take your best shot at it, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll do my best. That's for sure.
Cool. And how about you, Caitlin?
This is such a hard question for me
because
I feel like I have such different interests in O&P, and I'm just excited within the master's program and within the opportunity Pitt has for an internship and within residency that I'll have time to explore some of these specialties. But I know right now I work with a pediatric orthotist or a specialist in pediatric orthotics, and I've really loved that population. I'm sure all of us have heard the phrase, kids are not just tiny adults, their bodies are unique and different, and their needs and their physiology is unique and different. And I've really enjoyed working with that population so far, both the prosthetic and orthotic side. I love working with their parents and the families, and it's just the appointments are so fun. Kids are so fun. So that's definitely something I'm open to, and I would love the chance to work with kids more. I'm also really interested in athletic devices for some of your higher level like K4 prosthetic patients, some of your higher end orthotic users. just because I studied human nutrition, foods, and exercise in undergrad, and I've seen through my education in that program the importance of having an outlet for joyful movement and how that can impact our physical and emotional well-being. It's so important for people, and so I'd love to also have the opportunity just to learn more about those devices, whether it's working with a Paralympian or somebody who just wants to go for a jog around their neighborhood. I would love to learn more about that just because it's something I haven't been able to see a ton of in my clinical experience so far. And then I know that at some point in my career or another, I really want to be involved with research in some way, shape, or form. I've seen the magic that really happens when clinicians get with researchers in order to discuss things in O&P. And really, I think that is how this field will progress in the future, is clinicians and researchers getting together to disseminate information together. So I know no matter where life takes me, whatever career twists and turns and pivots I have, I definitely want to be involved in research at some point along that journey.
Wow, excellent answer. You said it was tough, but I think you nailed it.
We're going to move on to some not so focused on scholarship questions. Cody, we know you're an arborist, or not technically an arborist. Can you kind of tell us exactly what you are or aren't, and how do you balance having two jobs?
So it's just tree service. So up here in Washington and a good bit down into Oregon, obviously Pacific Northwest is pretty famous for its trees and its rain, that's for sure. But in my area that I live in, there's a lot of tree services out there and options, and the people kind of like in our field, the people who go to school and get their certifications and take their tests are certified prosthetists and orthotists. The kind of tree field, the people who take all their tests and do all their studying are called arborists. And so I never actually got certified as an arborist, but I've done a lot of work with arborists and have been trained under them as well. But and so when I started getting prepared to go back to grad school, I knew money was going to be another issue. And so luckily over the past like 5 or 6 years that I've gone back home and done tree work, I've built up quite a few connections, and I'm kind of blessed with the fact that I know some good companies that I can work with on the weekends, and sometimes I may have to take a day off here if they really need some help and kind of contribute them. But there's companies up here like Archon Tree Service and No Limb, it's tree service. It's tree service, just like prosthetics, love their play on words with limbs. So but yeah, so I end up occasionally after work, sometimes I've gone and given bids for jobs, and it just turns into waking up, going to bed, waking up Saturday morning and going to cut down some trees and running some chainsaws, and sometimes it's even Sunday, and you just work all day and wake up Monday morning, go build prosthetics, and just kind of repeat it all over again. So
cool. So Caitlin, can you talk a little about your undergraduate research you conducted with the Madigan Biomechanics Lab Group?
Sure. So I think I mentioned previously, but I was a human nutrition, foods, and exercise major, so not at all an engineer. And I was introduced to this Madigan Biomechanics Lab Group, and they're a part of the Industrial and Systems Engineering Department at Virginia Tech. Kind of coincidentally, I was talking with a CPO in the area and was kind of interested in learning about shadowing at their practice, and they kind of referred me to this lab because they were really busy and weren't able to take a student, but wanted me to have the opportunity to still kind of learn something related to O&P. And so he said, here's this here's this PhD student who's doing research on prosthetic legs. I think you should talk to her. And that's kind of how I got my foot in the door, and we really just hit it off, and I worked for 3 years in the lab group as that thesis kind of evolved and changed. Originally, we were really interested in looking at low-cost prosthetic componentry for people who perhaps are uninsured or for people in developing countries. And we were really interested in kind of asking the question, how do you evaluate these devices and what's good, or a good design or a bad design, because the engineers were interested in kind of comparing their designs and ideas they had for these parts. Me being an exercise science major, I was super interested in energy expenditure and the cost metabolically of these parts that they were designing. As you guys probably know, to be an amputee, it requires a lot more energy walking than those of us who are maybe able-bodied. And the level of your amputation also makes it perhaps more energy inefficient to walk, depending on how high up your amputation is, if you're bilateral, all those things. And so we were going to test that, and then COVID happened, and we were not allowed to use the machine because you had to put your mouth on it. And obviously coronavirus and a mouthpiece would not mix well. So we kind of pivoted and changed our idea, and we wanted to look at uneven terrain and how it affected the performance of some of these devices. And so I can't share too much detail about the final outcomes of the project, since the research is still pending peer review and publication. Should she want to publish that. But I will say the biggest takeaway for me, just as a professional and as a person, was again seeing that bench to bedside communication, as we like to refer to it, or seeing the researchers and what happens when they talk to clinicians, and kind of the benefits of having those conversations. I had clinical experience, having been a student, having shadowed the researchers in the lab, had all these amazing ideas and could explain forces on the body with math equations that I can't even begin to understand. And yet it took us sitting down in a room and really hashing things out kind of in our own field of what we know and what we're experts in our own regards, to really come up with a really cool project that has some great potential in terms of what we can learn from it. So I think, again, that was the biggest thing I took away, and why I'm so motivated in my career to be involved in research in some way, shape, or form.
That's great. And it actually goes in line with what we've been talking about on some of our past podcasts. I don't know if you've listened, but outcomes and measures has been like the biggest thing that we've come across, and I guess the most common theme. And exactly what you're saying is like setting out a goal, figuring out what the outcomes and the measures are going to be. What can we learn from this? What can we do moving forward? And that's the big part of research. And I commend you for doing it. And I sure hope that gets published, because I would love to read it.
Okay, so this is the part of the interview where we transition to the hot seat questions. And this is just kind of rapid fire for fun kind of questions. Number 1. Are you guys a morning lark or a night owl?
Good morning person. Night owl. I don't know. I struggle all the time.
Caitlin?
Fair.
If we're going by choice, a night owl, but I've had to become a morning person.
Nice.
I like that answer. Yeah.
All right, we'll switch over to a superhero question. Batman or Superman?
Superman.
Can I say none? Spider-Man?
Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
I'm a Marvel fan.
That's fair. No, that's fair. What word would you have a hard time pronouncing?
It's kind of a classic, but I still always have trouble saying cinnamon.
Yep.
Oh man, I don't know if I have a particular word, but I just know at the end of the workday, all of my words just kind of become one thing, and sometimes a patient will look at me and say, "Excuse me, what?" So.
Yeah, I know how that one goes.
Yeah, and then suddenly, like, very basic words like back brace become blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
All right, guys. It's been a long day. You're heading home. You just want to sit on the couch. What's your favorite go-to, easy-to-make dinner?
Ordering a pizza.
That counts for sure.
It counts. But it's got to be pineapple and olives pizza.
Sweet and
exactly
salty.
A normal olive. Yeah.
Pineapple and olive.
Sweet and salty.
I think
And
I'm going to have to
olives.
try that. Okay.
I don't have to worry about people taking my pizza, that's for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, that definitely takes care of that problem.
I would say probably like a pasta or something. I got spoiled because one of my roommates in college is actually studying to become a registered dietitian, and so we would learn all these crazy recipes she would make. So if I'm trying to be healthy or act like I'm healthy, I'll just put a bunch of vegetables on a sheet and throw it in the oven and mix it in with some noodles.
Oh, that sounds good.
That's quality roommate selection there, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so what object do you misplace the most?
I always misplace my wallet, and so I thought it'd be a great idea to get one of those phone wallet things that you could just put everything together and you only have one thing to keep track of. Unfortunately, that doesn't actually solve the fact that I lose my wallet and proceeded just to lose my wallet and phone at the same time, and then I actually have nothing. So that was just an awesome idea on my part.
I like the thought out solution.
And just poor execution.
Execution lasted a little bit.
Cody, I feel like when I meet you in person, you're going to have like 6 of those chains going from your belt loop to A, your wallet, and then B, your phone, and then C, your keys, and then D, probably your tri-wrench.
My keys, instead of like a normal keychain, my keys use one of those big carabiners that I had from work that were rated for just thousands of newtons of force. And nope, it's just to keep it from me losing them.
I would say when I'm at home, my personal phone, I'm always losing it. I can keep track of the work phone for some reason, but my phone, it's gone. I don't know, the couch eats it or something. When I'm at work, it seems to be pens and my measuring tape. I don't know where it goes. I'll be talking to a patient and the pen will just leave my hand and I'm like, okay, this is awkward. Let me go get a new one. Sorry.
Okay, last one, guys. You've made it this far. You put on your scientific hat, you went exploring somewhere, and you discovered a new species of lizard. What would you name it?
Probably something with my last name in it, but like not my last name, so I'm close. Because Alcott, I feel like you can make a good name if you think about it, but I don't know.
Maybe mix in something Latin, Alcottus maximus or something?
Exactly, Alcottus maximus. There you go. It's the newest lizard.
Man, I wish I had a really deep answer for this question, but when I was in middle school, my friends and I just had this dumb inside joke where we'd say, your mom's a lizard. So I'd probably say, your mom's a, and then they'd be like, oh, your mom's a lizard. And it would be like classic. 3 people who would understand it, but we would think it's funny.
Yeah, it'd be this huge scientific discovery of your mom's a, and like no one would think anything of it.
Yeah, it was just good. Like a dumb, like, I don't even know, like, joke we would yell at each other on the bus or the playground. We'd be like, your mom's a lizard, so.
Well, now you get to call them back and say, like, hey, fast forward to the, minute 42 of this podcast, and don't even tell them what's coming up, and it's going to be like, your mom's a...
I know, I'm going to have to tell them.
That's awesome.
Oh, man. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for joining us, for answering our hot seat questions and all of our other questions. Congratulations, and we wish you the best of luck in your adventures and all of your studies.
Thank you guys for spending the time. You guys earned this very well. You're awesome.
Thanks very much.
Wow, that was pretty awesome, Jacki. I was really impressed by them, and it's so glad to meet them in person and just see their personalities beyond, the essays that we read and all the cool stats that they put on their resume and all that.
Right. Well, and they're just the accomplishments and the drive that they have personally and the passion they have for what they're doing it just shines through.
Yeah.
I just think it's really amazing, and it makes me really excited and hopeful for the future. And I love meeting people who have found what they're passionate about in life and that they're doing what they need to do to pursue it.
Yeah, it really stuck out to me. Just like you said, doing what they need to pursue it. They were, I think I called them gym rats during the interview, and you may have cut that out, but they really were like they're in there working with the people in the industry from when they're like 14 years old. Not oh hey. Like I did, I'm going to stumble into some job somewhere. They actually had the fortitude to think about it and do it first and go and shadow and spend time in there. So that's pretty darn awesome to me.
I know. I think back to what I was doing back when I was that age, looking towards my future, and I was not nearly as intentional or proactive as they were. It just it's amazing.
You weren't practicing podcasts?
No, shockingly, no. I wasn't. Not yet.
When I was that age, there wasn't even any podcasts around.
Moving on to our news article for this episode. This one is kind of a for fun. It's about robot legs.
Let's talk robots.
Inspired by emus. So basically it's a robot and it's just legs at this stage, and it's designed to walk like emus walk.
Yeah, and the cool part is, like, you read the article, there's also a video there and you can see it. Where do we find this article, first of all?
You can find this article at newsscientist.com.
Oh, cool.
And the link for it will be in our show notes. But they were just kind of breaking down how these robotic legs and the design of them are 300% more efficient moving forward walking than a more traditionally designed robot leg function, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and the thing I read is, of course, just like prosthetics and orthotics, a lot of it has to do with the weight of the device that you're attaching to, whatever's driving it. And in this one, they removed, 4 to 5 actuators and only have 2 actuators up at the, kind of proximal end of the robot, and it's driving it with kind of tendon-like bands, which are much, I would say, less weight than actually having actuators down at each individual joint, like an ankle and a knee.
Right. Yep. That is exactly what's happening. And it's kind of exciting because they think this technology might be able to be transitioned or in some way used for prosthetics and exoskeletons. At least that's what the inventors say. It's pretty preliminary. But one of the stats that sticks out is that they say it can walk at 75 centimeters. Is that per minute?
That's per second.
Per second.
Yeah,
Per
which
second.
I did some math preparing for this, and that equates to about, 2 kilometers, which then if you do further math is equivalent to basically what a baby is walking at, and that's a rate of about 1.67%. Or sorry, not percent, miles per hour. I was trying to sound smart. Come on.
Yeah. Which, sounds like slow in your head, but you have to go check out the video because it really is kind of neat to watch it, and watching it in real time, it seems like it's moving at a much faster pace than 75 centimeters per second.
Yeah, and it's cool. I've always been amazed by the way, ostrich and emus walk because, their knees are flexing the opposite ways that ours are, and same with their ankles. So it's kind of cool to see the anatomical difference. And it made me think of back when I used to work for Freedom Innovations. We released the Kintera ankle, and that ankle is, I guess, flipped backwards from our anatomical ankle. And you can kind of see the difference in how that product is built versus the other really good ankle out there, the Echelon from Blatchford. And they're just 2 different variations on an ankle, and both of them do really well out in the marketplace. But it's just cool to even notice that and see how we're trying to mimic different things, and sometimes it may not be the same anatomical design as we see in a human being, but it's got benefits, right? So very cool to see it.
So this invention was created by Alexander Badri-Sprowitz at the Max Planck Institute for Intelligence Systems in Stuttgart, Germany. And his colleagues have designed, they're calling it the BirdBot. Oh, that's a great name.
Love it.
If you would like to see the video for the BirdBot, please see the link in our show notes to learn more.
Well, there you have it. Thank you for listening to the O&P Check-in, an SPS podcast.
If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Please rate and review the show to help fellow O&P professionals find us.
Yeah, and again, guys, we'd like to hear from you directly. A lot of times we need some good topics, and we want to know what you want. So give us a shout out. Give us your burning questions. Email us with your thoughts and feedback at spspodcast@spsco.com. See you next time, everyone.
Bye.